The new number 2.
Who is number 1?
You are number 6.
I'm back. So we're streaming on SnoozeTube, Twitter Live, Trovo, all that. Twitch, with the thoughts on Twitch. And I'm twitching a little bit right now. I'm all fucked up. But gonna finish up this video from Bitsby Trippin'. Ethereum is moving to proof of stake. Ethereum developer community is not being transparent. It's not working with all of the entities that use Ethereum, dApps, NFT, OpenSea ecosystem, and there is it appears much work to be done for the Ethereum move to proof of stake and the difficulty bomb that's going to eventually prevent all GPU mining.
Not going to work. Sometimes on some basic protocol like an API or something that works that way if you broke a WSDL or something, but we're talking about the entire platform. So like you can't not have those apps not work. You have to check in with them. You have to make sure that they're going good. So I don't buy that for a minute. Like ETH Foundation is not going to deal with that if OpenSea goes down and you have freaking Gary V and Kevin O'Leary and everybody trying to get to their NFTs and they can't get to them because something got broke. That ain't gonna fly. Like that's people's jobs, it's people's livelihoods, and ETH is a $400 billion network, not a $40 billion network like Terra was, an order of magnitude higher. So we gotta have a little more, not like this kind of, this kind of attitude. Like that's attitude. Like, dude, like seriously? Like, no, like you guys have to reach out to them.
So this is what it says. This is Tim Biko. He's one of the developers, Ethereum developers, that actually engages with the community on Twitter and what have you. But this is his response to OpenSea, the biggest NFT market in the world. Definitely on apps to test, and we won't delay the merge if, say, OpenSea didn't get the memo. I've reached to several, shared some on Twitter, and even given that not much changes for smart contracts, it would be weird for issues to happen at the app level. So basically saying there's not going to be any big deal. There's not going to be any issues. And, we gave OpenSea the memo. We don't have to do anything else. I mean, it just seems, are they lazy? They just don't want to do the work. I mean, this is a massive market. Billions of dollars. 10 times the size of Luna.
And they should respond, right? Like there should be something more there. And I even kind of respond to that. So that's what kind of started this thread. This isn't about proof of work, proof of stake. We're past that, right? We know you guys are moving proof of stake. We've known it since 2017 heavily. We've known it as part of the original white paper in 2013, right? With this theory of what proof of stake was.
So any word in the chat, you say, yeah, they're going to have to fork. You're talking about Ethereum. Dero, D-E-R-O, forked recently. Exchanges are in the process of transferring from Atlantis to Stargate. Never seen an NFT fork, though. I'm not sure what you're saying. These NFTs, the source code for the NFTs are forking? If you have a link that kind of explains all that, what you're getting at there, let me know, and you can post it in the chat. Thanks.
But like this is like real stuff, right? So I'm going to go back to the timeline stuff. I'm trying to simplify it for people of what I'm talking about here. So let's go back here and let's take a look at what I'm talking about. So people come up in this thread and say, well, the ETH2 merge specification has been out there since October of 2021. Problem with that is that might be an ETH research team on Beacon and a specification guide there, but that wasn't ETH1 protocol development teams that are working on their clients, right? That's what essentially everybody's been doing this whole time, making sure that that stuff's good to go. Now we've had several different shadow forks. I didn't put them on here, not relevant to this. June 4th, next test coming up in Robeson. Let's say that's good. If that's a good test, and we're gonna go over here, we're gonna put this, we're gonna grab a green, and let's say this is good. Everything as far as the ETH dev team is saying that's good. Let's count that 10 days. There's 10 days of test. So if that's June 14th, then they may get together and say, hey, everything's good to go, let's say they have a dev meeting on, like, let's say the 21st. I'm just advancing this 7 days. And let's say they announce on the 21st of June that everything is good, they want to ship. Now, what this means typically is that the baseline is locked. There's no other changes. Baseline's locked. We're good. Ship it. Well, from that point should trigger these dApps. Now, I put a few of them out here: OpenSea, Maker, Uniswap, and there's Polygon. There's everybody that interacts with Ethereum saying, hey, they're going to move some stuff. This is actually happening. So then the dApp teams are going to come in here now and say, hey, we got a specification to spend some time on. Like, they're done doing this dev work on the client side. They're actually wanting to do stuff. So now this is the part that I'm trying to find out, like, where is this list? Is there this list? And I want to make sure that if I have stuff in MakerDAO, that this stuff's going to work. Like, it's a valid question. Like, otherwise I need to exit this. Like, this is creating, like, the biggest single reason to short the freaking out of this, like, you wouldn't believe. Like I need to make sure that if I have money locked up in here, that these guys have tested before they do an existential huge, a consensus change over to another thing, right? So let's get this. It's not a hard ask. And then from that, they can start planning dates, right? They can plan, is it going to be on the 21st? This is a 60-day test window. So is it going to be August 21st? Is it going to be September, slide it 60 days, or this is 90-day window here, or is it October? So I think they have essentially 3 different windows that they can create a potential release schedule, right, of doing the merge. And this all should be predicated on everybody else making sure that they're good.
All right, so Anywhere says in the chat, this is interesting, and I've heard about this also. Anywhere says, I'm saying the ETH4 could be problematic for NFTs. Dero doesn't have NFTs yet. Let me know, what is the Dero, the DERO connection to Ethereum? I'm not familiar with that. And then Anywhere says ETH NFTs might have to move to Matic protocol. I've heard rumors of this. But once again, it comes down to transparency. The Ethereum devs are not being transparent on how all this is all going to work. It's just an absolute nightmare. A lot of moving parts, and there's not enough transparency from the Ethereum developers. Anywhere it says AXN Axion moved from ETH to Matic pretty seamlessly. AXN is basically zero. Dero isn't connected to ETH at all. I'll have to see. I'm going to be looking. I've got some ETH on Matic, Polygon Matic. We have support for Polygon Matic in the crypto wallet I'm working on. I'm going to be looking at. I'm probably going to take. I'm starting out with tests right now, but I'm probably going to take at least 50% of the ETH that I've mined and convert it to BTC. I may just do 100%. If got to see. I mean, how things unfold. Sliding it into it. I was just wondering, have you heard about this monkeypox? Holy shit. I have monkeypox right now. I don't know if you can see it, but let me just kind of zoom in. You see that zit? That's monkeypox right there. I called up Bill Gates last night because I was all fucked. I woke up in a sweat. And I called up Billy G. I said, listen to me. I need the jib jabber slabber nabber jabber. And he sent something next day, FedEx. And I stick myself, and I'm starting to feel better. So, just giving you an update with my monkeypox. Moving on. So, I'll have to see with ETH. I think I'm probably gonna. I also am holding ETH that I didn't mine. I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I may completely remove my ETH position. 100%. It's kind of, it's really starting to irritate me because Ethereum is really, it's like they're digging a hole. Gary Gensler is a man who wants to feed on crypto companies. He needs something to do. He's a bureaucrat, okay? He wants power. He wants to regulate. And maybe Ethereum has kind of bought into the elites. Maybe they're paying the elites off behind the scenes. I've yet to hear. I know with the XRP SEC case, they brought up history in the past that the SEC, at least, there was a guy, I forget his name, who was at the SEC who was saying that Ethereum was not a security, but that was back in 2017. Ethereum is becoming more and more centralized. What's going to happen in this new era? Ethereum could very well be hit with the SEC case, and that's why, as it stands now, I'm definitely going to be moving as much as I can, converting it to BTC. And we'll see. I mean, if the proof of stake happens at the end of summer or October, things are going to heat up. So let me finish this video from Bits Be Tripping. There's a little bit left. And then, you know what? I think we're gonna switch over to weather. I want to check out this derecho that hit Ontario, and derechos are just a long line of thunderstorms back to back, very severe, very high winds, and sometimes you have tornadoes embedded inside these derechos. It's pretty intense stuff. I like weather. I'm working down the road. Maybe one day I'd like to chase tornadoes with scientists, people that know what they're doing, and hopefully not die. So that's something in the works.
Not just that ETH dev teams on the protocol side are okay with it. It's an environment that you're building this whole thing for. So you got to make sure that people are good to go. And let's say Uniswap has an issue. Well, then they may have to operate at risk because everybody else is good. I get that. Like, you got to say, hey, Uniswap, you got to get your shit together. We got to ship. So, this shouldn't be hard. Like, give us some confidence, that this is good. I don't care that your baseline on the merge is good. Don't care. What I care about is where the money's sitting at, right? And where the services are sitting at. That's what I care about, right? And that's what everybody else from an investment standpoint on a $400 billion network cares about. Right? This is why the ETH dev teams don't get a lot of views and stuff on their stuff, right? That's protocol development. It's kind of the boring stuff. It's like nobody shows up to the Amazon CCB calls, right? The configuration control boards. Nobody cares. But if that app that's running on their Shopify goes down, people care, right? So this is the whole point I'm trying. This isn't FUD. It's a simple core request. Like, where are people at? And it could be answered. And they're like, Carter, you're blowing this up for no reason. It's like, no, I got money invested in this, and so do a lot of other people, and people have concerns. So let's have a conversation. What is it? Hopefully it's not that crazy of an ask. I usually don't, this is like the first kind of video that I've acted like this, but we've had, there's investments in this. This isn't just the miners moving, having something else to do. And if we find that there's existential issues or other issues that crop up, then they need to be answered, right? That's all that we're asking. So ETH Dev Team, shout me out. Let's get on a call. Micah, anybody, Tim, let's have a conversation. I don't bite. I have questions. So, subscribe, and share, my dudes.
All right, so let's be tripping, my dudes. Definitely check them out if you're a crypto nerd. But so there's a big issue. There's all the miners. They're done with Ethereum because Ethereum just keeps talking down to miners. They just want to get rid of us, and that's really hurt. Ethereum could have done this much better. It could have done it to a point, some kind of hybrid proof of work, proof of stake, and continue to that, and maybe down the road get rid of the miners and work with the community. But they've been very aggressive and demeaning, going on and on about how Ethereum is bad for the mining. Ethereum is bad for the environment. It is not. They're replacing it with a massive infrastructure that's only going to make AWS and Microsoft's Azure and all these big cloud providers wealthier, and it's still going to pollute. You're still creating massive server infrastructure with computers. It's just what's happening is the little guy, Joe Miner, is not going to be able to mine Ethereum. that whole decentralized aspect of it, that low point of entry, all you need is a bunch of GPUs or even one GPU, what have you, to mine, and you can get in. The low barrier to entry, that all goes away. Bitsby Trippin is one of the few people that I've met in the mining community that actually wants to continue investing in Ethereum. Everyone else is jumping ship. It's not a good thing. ETH is going to be able to compete. ETH isn't going to be able to compete with Sol into the future, in my opinion, and that's what Anywhere says. Yeah, I mean that's why Anywhere had mentioned Solana. I took a look into it. I have some. It's at a low now, obviously, with everything else, but I think it has real potential to do well and to feed on Ethereum's mistakes, and the mistakes keep piling up. So we'll see. I'll come back to Ethereum, but the mining community definitely needs to be heard with this move to proof of stake with Ethereum, because there's a lot of FUD there. There's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of hype around Ethereum, and when you look under the hood, you see all the issues, and it's not good. So let me switch over to the weather tracker, and I've got to get it set up. Sorry about that. But yeah, I've got some footage. I'm hoping it's from the Ontario area. I just found it. Anywhere it says in the chat, might want to start mining Dero, D-E-R-O. I'll take a look at it. I'm also looking at the Nervos network, which basically has a, it's interacting with IPFS, the Interplanetary File System, which is the backbone, supposed to be the database storage for blockchain and Web3. It's been having a lot of issues. It's been around for 6, maybe 7, 8 years around there. It's having a lot of issues with stability and scalability, but Nervos network is also in its infancy and is trying to help solve that. So I definitely want to mine it for that alone, because I've already been using IPFS and it's not very usable. We need more development. We need more support, and it really is the community. It's a community-backed protocol, similar to what happened in the early era of the internet. And I know a lot of people rip on crypto, but you should respect the decentralization aspect that crypto is trying to promote. I don't know in the long term. The entire crypto industry may eventually just become too centralized. In my opinion, it would collapse, but it's possible. But the core tenets are community-based, like it was in the beginning of the internet, decentralized, and IPFS community-run, and for anyone to use, that is scalable, sensor-proof. It uses nodes. So definitely take a look at it if you're a developer. Definitely help out. Let me switch over to the Brave browser. We're going to check out some footage. Let me start. There's this. This is Southern Ontario. This is posted May 21st. So just a couple days ago. Full screen. Let's get this thing in this theater mode. I have to check and see. Mic should be working. I have to check the browser audio. But yeah, so recently, massive derecho hit north of Toronto, or in Toronto, but not severely in Toronto, from what I can see. And some of the outlying areas really got hit hard. And we're going to check out some footage.
At about 11 a.m.
Not this one, though. Let me see. This one and this one. So, let me get this. So this is posted May 21st, 2022 in Uxbridge, Ontario, Canada.
Let's go that way. Right. What? Who? Who are you waving at?
This is my neighbor's house. Holy crap. Wow. Wow.
Yeah, they didn't even send out a tornado warning.
Oh, I got an Amber Alert for a severe thunderstorm.
Yeah, severe or something.
I got a severe thunderstorm, not this. Probably not. Maybe.
Oh my god.
Do we want to?
That's where it hit, right there.
Sure, you know what? Let's turn. Turn left.
This guy's got here. Roll the windows for
Just posting out to the intrawebs, the information superhighway, get the stream promoted properly. You know what I'm saying? But devastation's pretty crazy. Looks like there's a telephone pole like embedded in a house there through that tree.
Guys, this is where it hit down. Touched down the first. Oh my god, look above. Look to your left. Look to your left.
No.
yeah. Holy shit!
Okay, never mind.
Don't turn left. Don't turn left.
Wow.
Reverse.
We're gonna do a U-turn.
Oh shit, this is literally where it hit.
It's coming around. I got video. Don't worry. I'll send you a video. Just focus on driving.
Dude, this is where it touched
Yeah,
down.
it absolutely touched down here first.
Can't turn this boat. We are.
Sorry.
Look right above us.
Yeah, look above.
Hello. How's it going?
Are you okay?
Hey. Yeah, of course, man. How's it going?
Oh my god.
Yeah, let's keep going. Oh, shit.
All right, so that's getting close. I think there's just pictures here. But yeah, I hope everyone is safe. They were saying, from what I found, 2 people died, but I don't know if that includes the total across the entire area. And I believe this derecho started in the United States, in Michigan, and it was a long, long ban of them. With Canada, it appears having the worst of the devastation in the Ontario area. And I also heard Quebec, but I don't have any footage from Quebec. And there's one more, I think.
Well, we are still dealing with these strong winds and major thunderstorms across the GTA. Toronto Fires implemented severe weather protocols. They've received over 100 calls and incidents related to these outages with power lines down. Pretty much everybody across the GTA's felt the wrath of this fast-moving storm. Toronto Hydro has been extremely busy responding to a number of outages. The utility says that it's currently responding to numerous widespread outages across the entire city. It's now advising residents that if you come across down wires, stay at least 10 meters back, which is about the length of a school bus. Toronto police have closed their non-emergency lines. They ask everybody to call 911 if there's an emergency.
Dozens of trees, and I'm talking big trees, down around the Hyde Park area. Along Parkside at one point, all of the power was out, so you can imagine traffic going really slow.
So at about 12:30 this afternoon here in North Burlington, it got really, really dark. The wind picked up considerably and it started raining about 10 minutes later. That's when the power went out, kind of flickered on and off multiple times for maybe about 30 to 40 seconds before it went off for good. Say the storm probably took about a half hour to pass, so it's cleared up here in North Burlington.
So, North Burlington, Greater Toronto area, getting affected by the derecho. I have also trees. I'm looking into solar panels and these storms. That's all it takes. And with solar panels, all they care about is tree coverage, obviously on your roof, but I had a conversation with a company here in Middletown, I guess, Connecticut, that offers solar panels. It's just starting to get into the process. I got to look what I can get at the state level. But, yeah, the trees are the big issue. I have an absolutely massive tree. It has, like, multiple trunks. If the thing fell in the house, it's over. But it would cost a fortune to get it cut down. But eventually I'm going to have to get it cut down. And then I have a tree that's really close to my property line that the neighbor has, and it could be dying. It doesn't look like the healthiest tree on the block, and that's covering my roof. So I'm going to have to reach out to them and the town and how that works legally, because I'm hoping I can at least get some. There's a tree on my property that's doesn't look very healthy. It doesn't have a lot of leaves. It's like an evergreen, but I'm gonna have to get that chopped down, which that one won't be that much of an issue. It's the neighbor's trees that are the issue. And all these storms here, we get more nor'easters that cycle. They literally just keep cycling the storm within itself, and it's like a center that moves very slow and just get pounded with heavy winds and easily knock down hundreds of trees or more. We'll check out what's going on at weather.com. They should have. I just had a video. Why is it not in the headlines here? Two killed, dozens injured. Large tornado strikes northern Michigan town. Teens die in sand. Collapses in 2 states. Please. Power plant explosion keeps going. Drought behavior. I should really connect. I have a VPN in Toronto. That would actually give me. I don't want to do that on a live stream. It might bring down the stream. But that also reminds me, if you're in the chat and you're interested in actually I have WireGuard. I mean, I have a VPN server. If you're in the chat and you're interested in helping me test that out, I have WireGuard VPN, and I also have a SOCKS 5 proxy. But I would have to give you account info. I basically give you an account on the box. You wouldn't have shell access. I have to see if that will work, but I'm real close to setting all that up. So VPN access through WireGuard or SOCKS 5 access. If you're interested in helping me test that out, you can use that, to check out news and stuff like that. It's based in Toronto. I'm looking at the VPS is, and then I'm looking at additional servers around the world. I may do some through AWS, but that would all be done dynamically on the fly, because AWS is very expensive. So there's that. And I also use Linoid, which has servers. They're starting to build more servers around the world. So we'll see. I can definitely tap into those. Those are affordable. Definitely check out Linoid.com if you're looking for VPS. They sell like $5 nano accounts per month. But let's check out this. Let's check out this story out of Texas. And I'll just get this stupid ad done, and we should be good. But just want to mention briefly electricity and crypto mining. Crypto miners myself. I mean, I'm looking at solar panels. I'm looking at portable solar panels. Something like Blue Eddy or something similar to that, where it's portable, where I can test things out. I could set the panels up in my backyard, route cables into my house, and test out solar tech and battery power backups. So I've got plans to do that this summer. And crypto mining is actually, there's a lot of crypto hysteria weirdos, apocalyptic messiahs, say we're all going to die because the climate is changing. The climate is always changing, but crypto miners actually are embracing alternative tech, alternative energies, and making the world more energy efficient and helping secure the grid, because every solar panel or wind, whatever you're doing, is creating a stronger grid. And here, this story is record peak electricity demand expected in Texas this summer and every year for the next decade. All these people in Texas, if you have a house, solar panels, whatever it is, I mean, I'm even looking into a windmill or something. Legally, what can I do? What alternative energies can I embrace? You don't want to rely on a utility company, a public utility company that doesn't care. All it cares about is profit. You need alternative backups, whether you're crypto mining or not. So this is just a 1-minute video, but Texas expected to reach record demand for power. And Texas, from what I'm aware, Texas likes to control everything. They have their own grid. So there's the grid to pretty much the east of Texas, north and east of it, and then there's out west. So there's 3 main connectors that I'm aware of in the United States for the electrical grid. Definitely working on more research on that.
Electricity demand. Texas will likely reach a new record for peak electricity demand this summer, according to a new report from the agency that manages the state's power grid. The Electric Reliability Council of Texas, known as ERCOT, says continued economic growth will drive more power consumption. ERCOT says the grid should be able to handle the demand under both normal conditions and most more extreme scenarios. The agency came under widespread criticism amid massive power outages during extreme cold temperatures last year. Nearly 250 deaths were blamed on the weather, many of them related, at least in part, to the power outages. Texans have already been asked to conserve electricity due to an early season heat wave, and given that it's just May, things are only going to get hotter. Temperatures throughout the lower 48 states are expected to be higher than average from now through August, and in particular through June in much of Texas and the Southwest.
So yeah, a lot to do in Texas in reinforcing the power grid. Obviously, alternative energy should be getting adopted and being integrated into the system. The developer I work with on the crypto wallet is in the Texas area, and he just April and May have just been insanely hot, high 90s, even into the hundreds. Okay, and it's not even summer yet. So Texas is going to have a lot of demand on the electrical grid. Peak electricity demand is expected to reach a record high in Texas this summer. The Electric Reliability Council of Texas, known as ERCOT, released 2 reports Monday that look ahead at expected power demand. One is seasonal and one is for the next 10 years. The seasonal report predicts that the summer will bring a peak demand for electricity greater than ever seen before, driven by what ERCOT says is continued economic growth. We got through last summer, we got through last winter, and we're going to get through this summer, and we are better prepared than we have ever been before. Yeah, but why don't they describe what they're doing to help reinforce the grid? They're just saying that they're going to. And this is also all of this is also related to environmental, social governance, ESG. Klaus Schwab and that whole crowd, they're coming for everybody worldwide, but especially in the United States, for Texas, what have you. Telling you, look, ERCOT said in a statement Friday that people should set their thermostats to 78 degrees. You're going to see more and more of this stuff. They're going to demand that the common citizen suffers. A thermostat at 78? What? 78 degrees in your house? I mean, why can't the solution be solar panels, windmills, what have you, each housing unit becoming more self-efficient, energy efficient? Isn't that the real solution? Instead of, the solution is put your thermostat on 78 degrees. There's no logic in that. And where's the redundancy on the grid? As of early Tuesday evening, the grid was operating at full power with no shortages, according to a dashboard on ERCOT's website. All of this. Look, stay in air-conditioned indoor locations, schedule outdoor activities. But there's no take cool showers or baths. Okay, that's great, but where's the discussion on providing resiliency on the grid here in Texas? Redundancy, resiliency, being able to deal with peak demand hours and things like that. Absolutely bizarre. So I'm going to actually put the crypto tracker on for just a little bit because I've got to dig up a couple more stories here. And I am on SnoozeTube, so I'm just going to have the crypto tracker without music. I'll be back in a little bit. All right, I'm just going to turn the camera off and the mic. And I'll be back shortly, probably a couple minutes. I'm coming back. I'm fading back in to the light. I'm here. Can you see me? Got that XRP tracker kind of messing with my face. It's not looking good. It's not a good look, but hey, I don't get out much. All right, so I'm going to do a few more videos here. I've got Blasio, Blowhard de Blasio, former mayor of New York City. He has plans to get back into politics, and I just want to forewarn everybody. It's not going to be good. It's actually painful to even discuss. But we have to do it. We have to do our due diligence. Wow, we have quite a few people here online here at D Live. Thank you. If you're in the chat, yeah, throw me some stickers or something. We've got Nomi just followed. Thank you, Nomi. And Nomi is viewing. He's hosting Variant News right now. Thank you, Nomi. Nomi, do you run GNOME, the window manager, on Linux? Every time I see the Nomi or GNOME, I think of Linux. But anyway, thanks for the links. We'll check that out. The docs for Dero, D-E-R-O, Basic Mining, and Dero.io, the main site, it looks like. So I'll definitely check that out. Hopefully it's not too tricky to get that up and running. I'm using Hive OS. I'm also looking at mining with MinerStat. There's been lots of issues with Hive OS due to the Ethereum hash rate limiter being unlocked across many cards, NVIDIA 3000 series cards. So it's become pretty unstable. It's starting to get more stable, but we'll see. I'm going to switch over to the viewer here, media viewer. We're not going to start out with the Superman video in the Unreal Engine 5 demo, but we will switch over to Sucker Carlson. Sucker Carlson is a TV host, a man of disturbing opinions on Fox News. He disturbs many people just by opening his mouth. And he's going to have an update on de Blasio, de Blowhard, the former mayor of New York City. So here is Sucker Carlson on Fox News.
So Bill de Blasio's been out of the front page for about 5 months. He's no longer the mayor of New York. He's got nothing to do. Smoking a little weed, watching a little Netflix. He's bored, so he's going to run for office again. He's going to run for Congress from New York. What's that going to look like? Well, to mark the occasion, we want to run through some of his biggest moments as the mayor of the city of New York. Back in 2014, and this is our favorite, he celebrated Groundhog Day by killing the groundhog.
This footage from Groundhog Day 2014 shows freshly inaugurated Mayor Bill de Blasio appearing to drop Staten Island Chuck. A week after the de Blasio fumble, the groundhog did a few more events before being found in its zoo space deceased on February 9th.
He should have known he was going to do to Midtown what he did to the groundhog, which he did. By 2019, he became completely demented and started talking like a chipmunk. Remember this?
We're doing something that should have been done a long time ago in this country. We're passing legislation this year to guarantee working people, like every other industrialized country in the world, to guarantee working people by law 2 weeks paid vacation every year.
So he was scraping the bong resin, ran out of that, so he just started taking hits off a helium balloon. Then one of the weirdest moments
anyway,
all came last May when
in the chat, you thought of trying to get on Rockfin? Yeah, I've been looking at that. Rockfin, and there's another one called LivePeer, I believe. I think it's... Yeah, I'm going to put it in the chat. Have you heard of this? It's in the chat, livepeer.org, and I'll find Rofkin. Here's Rofkin. I've been using Restream.io to do the relays, but anywhere it says haven't heard of live period. Most people I followed on DLive are on Rofkin now, right? So I'll definitely check it out. I mean, if there's a good chunk of the DLive community's moved over there. I just have to look at so I don't know. Do they have anywhere? Do you know offhand, Rofkin? Rockfin? Do they have any kind of prerequisites? You got to have this or that to start streaming. Is there a high barrier to get in, or I'll take a look at it. I definitely have to start streaming out to new platforms. It's on the list.
When he announced that Shake Shack would give away free food to people who got the COVID shot, because more burgers, that's going to get you through the pandemic. Watch.
Do you say free fries when you get vaccinated? I got vaccinated. You're saying I could get this, these delicious fries? Just think of this when you think of vaccination. Vaccination.
That's really disturbing. I mean, that's disturbing. What did I just watch? Bill de Blasio, the blowhard, eating a greasy hamburger and fries, trying to convince me to get the jib jabber slammer dammer jammer. How is that supposed to work? Can anyone help me, please? Anyway, it says in the chat, I think it's up to the Rofkin people to get on there. You can attach your MetaMask wallet to it. All right. I'll check it out.
He's so high.
Has anyone gotten the jib jabber slabber dabber in the chat? Am I allowed to ask if you've gotten the jib jabber slabber dabber? I don't want to get censored or killed.
I mean, it's just unbelievable. Jimmy Failla is the host of Fox Across America with Jimmy Failla. He joins us today. Jimmy, are you excited for the return of this man?
Well, listen, I can't blame him for trying again. It's hard to get a gig, Tucker, when the only thing you've been endorsed for on LinkedIn is killing groundhogs and trashing cities. It doesn't look the best. But I have to correct you. I hate to be a fact checker here, but he didn't kill the groundhog. Actually, what happened is, after being seen with him publicly, the groundhog died of embarrassment. It wasn't the fall. He took a look at those poll numbers when de Blasio ran for president and the campaign died quicker than a carnival goldfish because of what he's done to this city. And I want to start there, okay? New York.
So the blowhard lives in Park Slope, Brooklyn, not too far. Brooklyn kind of sinks down below lower Manhattan. It's massive city within a city, but so the district in the House, I mean, I've never heard of anybody going from New York City mayor to the House of Representatives. That's kind of like a demotion. So the blowhard's picking at straws here. He's kind of going lowbrow, bottom feeder kind of. I don't know. If it was me, because I'm definitely, one day I may run for the House somewhere in New York City. I don't know. Maybe get on the city council up here in one of these smaller towns where I'm at. I don't know. You know what I mean? Maybe get my hair cut real short, look more presentable. I don't know. I might do it. But the blowhard de Blasio he's a slumlord. He's been picking up properties, and that decimation that he caused, especially in the last 2 years of his term as mayor of New York City, brought real estate prices down in a lot of areas where he buys up. And he bought up more buildings, so he's a slumlord. So he has an incentive to represent that district of Brooklyn. So it's Park Slope, that region of Brooklyn, and also areas of southern Manhattan that he's trying to get his dirty fingers around in the House of Representatives. And this should be interesting. He should be running an interesting campaign. It will bring at least entertainment to me and I guess a few other people.
City, and the idea that he has the nerve to ask for anyone's vote after what he did to New York. New York City right now, Tucker, looks like Gotham before Batman comes, except Batman's not coming because he's not vaccinated. He ain't showing up. They're like, you got to go back to Wayne Manor. I'm sorry, 6 feet of space. We'll fight the crime virtually. And that's the issue. Like, my family was going to come to New York City this weekend, but they decided to go someplace safer, like Beirut, because this idiot who ran the city into the ground was always going for the performative stupidity, creating the appearance that he cared and he was doing something. A good example of that was that vaccine video where he's stuffing his face with French fries. Hey, Tucker, what's the leading killer from COVID? Obesity. So we're combating vaccine hesitancy by encouraging fried food consumption. This is like combating arson by...
That's a very important point. Obesity is a serious problem in the United States. I'm not trying to be coy. It really is. You'll create more problems health-wise if you are obese, and COVID killed people that had pre-existing conditions, and obesity leads to that. So it's kind of disgusting that he's sitting there, you know, gluttonously gorging on, although I have to admit, I eat hamburgers like that all the time and fries. So it's the American thing to do, but it's just kind of strange to promote foods that lead to obesity when we have an obese pandemic of obesity in the United States. The blowhard also was trying to ban large, like supersized sodas, the big drinks, like, you know, what McDonald's does and what have you. He basically was trying to eliminate all fast food, which makes that makes no sense. And then all of a sudden he turns around and stuffs his fat face with a greasy hamburger and fries, trying to get people to take the vaccine. Whereas politically, he's trying to get rid of fast food and supersize and all that other stuff, soda. It's just absolutely bizarre. It's yeah.
Giving away a book of matches, man. And the one thing I would say to that is maybe the one upside to the Biden presidency is arson is down because no one can burn down your house at 5:15
quickly on the chat.
They gotta really love you to do it.
Anyway, it says you get paid in RAE coin. Rafkin needs more crypto news on there. Yeah, I mean, there's some decent stuff on YouTube, but not a lot that I like for crypto. So it'd be good if the Rockfin succeeds and can survive long term. So I'll definitely check it out. Thanks for the info. Any word?
But as far as de Blasio goes, man, hilarious. He implemented a vaccine mandate in Times Square on New Year's Eve, man. On New Year's Eve. Like, Tucker, if you're partying in Times Square on New Year's Eve, COVID is not a top 10 germ you're worried about catching. You know, you're actually, like, relieved when you got it, okay? But that's New York in a nutshell. For the Midwest, New York and most blue cities are run by stupid people who think they're smarter than you. Which is why right now, with our subway in the condition that it's in, Tucker, we just opened up a $30 million staircase on the New York City subway. And I know a lot of people watching are like, wow, Jimmy, Tucker, 30 million's a lot for a staircase. But I should remind you that it also doubles as a restroom and a place to shoot heroin. So you're getting like a 3-for-1 deal here. And that's why it's so disgusting. This city is gross, okay? And if you really...
How pure is the heroin? I mean, is it clean or is it spiked? Is it spiked with fentanyl? These are things you got to figure out first.
Cared about it, you don't build a stairway into the subway. You actually, like, clean up the subway, Tucker. Have you ever ridden the one train and not seen someone fondling themselves? Like, every time I swipe my card, I feel like I'm entering a Zoom with Jeffrey Tubin.
That is true, and why you should avoid taking the subway late at night, because that happens a lot. People fondling themselves. I've seen many strange things on the subway. Definitely pack heat of some kind on you if you want to get on the subway. You need to arm yourself in some way, but you didn't hear that from me.
Come on, man.
I can't add to that. Jimmy, great to see you.
You're the man. See you, buddy.
So that was Jimmy Bag of Donuts on the Sucker Carlson show. And we're going to cancel that. And we are going to move over to my favorite leader of India. I believe they call him a prime minister or something like that. I don't know. Yes, he is the Indian prime minister. His name is Narendra Modi. And really have been watching India become more and more involved on the world stage. Obviously, the only thing I care about is making sure that India keeps China in its place, because Beijing Biden is not doing a very good job of it. So unfortunately, we're going to have to rely on other people. So we're going to check out a video about Modi, India, and India's plans to contain China, because China, the CCP, is absolutely out of control. Now, I'm also hearing rumors. I do not have factual information on this. It's obviously very hard to get any kind of accurate information out of China, but I don't know if it's true. I'm seeing on the information superhighway with Al Gore and I hang out a lot, and possibly Xi Jinping, leader of the CCP, basically has made himself leader for life. They've gotten rid of the term limits, but their little Congress or whatever powwow of communist soldiers is coming up soon. And there are rumors that Xi Jinping has had an aneurysm, maybe a small one. Another one's coming. There's health issues, but still waiting for verification on that. May never get full verification due to transparency issues, but there's definitely a massive amount of infighting inside China, inside the Communist Party. There's factions there. There's the Shanghai Gang. The leader that came before Xi Jinping, who stepped down, is in the Shanghai Gang. And they're all about making money, and they want to, keep manipulating the West and continue on that path. But we have to see. We have to see what happens to poor Xi Jinping. I think everyone should really say a prayer and hope that he's okay. But let's check out this video. This is from Think School. And how India is trapping China with its military strategy. Geopolitical case study. We'll do a little bit of this and move on to some Unreal Engine 5 demos with Superman. You definitely got to stick around for that. This will be the only reason why you should be watching this stream. But let's get this one rolling.
समाप्त हो चुका है. ये युग विकासवाद का है.
Troubles began as early as 2013 when China expanded its Belt and Road Initiative. Massive construction projects in Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and the Maldives caused unease in Delhi.
If you ask me, is our relationship normal today? My answer to you is no, it is not.
China is clearly becoming a much stronger military power.
So China and India fought a war back in 1967. In that era, it wasn't a massive, it was basically intense skirmishes, things along those lines. So there is that in the modern era, and also recently up in high altitudes, a few people on both India and the Chinese side, soldiers died in hand-to-hand combat. Real up there, I think at 14,000 feet, somewhere around there. Probably going to be more skirmishes like that in the future, and let's just, obviously, nobody wants to see a major war between India and China. I don't think it would ever get to that. But let's continue.
India has also stepped up its participation in the Quad, which is a group of 4 countries, including the US, Australia, and Japan.
Hi everybody, in the past 3 episodes of the geopolitical series, we saw how China started with something called the Belt and Road Initiative to conquer the world trade. Now just to give you a quick recap, firstly, China strategically used Djibouti, Sri Lanka, Myanmar and Pakistan's weak economic situation to surround India. Secondly, China spent billions of dollars into building oil refineries, high-speed cables, railway lines and even gas pipelines to build an alternate trade route around India. And lastly, China is building an extremely strategic railway line from London to China and another railway line from China to Iran, passing through Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, finally ending at Tehran in Iran. This is how China is literally building its own trade route to become an economic superpower, and in this process, China intends to surround its rivals like India and eventually gain military and economic advantage over the United States. This is what we have covered until now. Now, when China is doing so many things, India is obviously not a saint to keep quiet and let China become stronger, right? So the question over here is, what exactly is India doing to tackle the security implications of the Belt and Road Initiative? What is India's strategy to face China in case of a military conflict? And lastly, what are the study materials to help you understand India's geopolitical moves better? This video is brought to you by Wintwealth, but more on this at the end of the video. The answer to this lies in...
Also, another thing to mention, the war in Ukraine, Russia's invasion of Ukraine has really... That area of the Belt and Road Initiative for the CCP is long-term. I mean, it looks like the war is going to continue there. It could drag on for many months or years. We don't know. But that whole area is going to be disrupted for China's CCP's massive plans for their Belt and Road Initiative. So that's definitely going to become an issue of tension between Russia and China. And then to top it off, you have India and everything that they're doing behind the scenes. They're kind of doing it stealth. You know, it's not in your face, their approach, which is smart. But they're definitely doing what they can to combat CCP aggression.
In a very, very important quote by a historian named Alfred Thayer. In his theory of sea dominance, Alfred Thayer said that whoever conquers the Indian Ocean will dominate the whole of Asia. So let's try to understand why is the Indian Ocean so important in geopolitics. Well, if you look at the world map, you will see that the Indian Ocean region consists of 28 countries spanning across 3 continents and covers 17.5% of the global land area. These countries include 21 members of an association called the Indian Ocean Rim Association. This includes major nations like Australia, Bangladesh, India, Indonesia, Iran, Kenya, Malaysia, Oman, Singapore, South Africa, Sri Lanka, Thailand, UAE and Yemen. Then there are 7 others who are not a part of this association, which includes Brunei, Cambodia, Maldives, Myanmar, Pakistan, Timor-Leste and Vietnam. And this region is home to over 35% of the world's population, which is around 2.6 billion people. Now, if you notice something very peculiar about all these nations that I stated, you will realize that the Indian Ocean region is home to some of the fastest growing countries in the world. Secondly, it is one of the most strategic regions in the world, which falls at the crossroads of the global trade itself. The Indian Ocean connects the international economies in the North Atlantic to the Asia-Pacific region. And secondly, the major sea routes that connect the Middle East, Africa and East Asia with both Europe and America also lie in the Indian Ocean itself. And what is absolutely mind-boggling about the Indian Ocean is that 80% of the entire world's maritime oil trade flows through just 3 narrow passages of the Indian Ocean. These passages are at the Strait of Hormuz, Strait of Malacca and the Strait of Bab el-Mandeb. These points are what we call as choke points, as in if you choke these points, the major part of the world trade itself will come to a standstill. If this is very clear to you, let's understand these choke points better. The Strait of Hormuz is a strait between the Persian Gulf and the Gulf of Oman. The Strait of Malacca, as you know, is this place between the Malay Peninsula and the Indian Ocean island of Sumatra. The Bab el-Mandeb is a strait between Yemen on the Arabian Peninsula, Djibouti and Eritrea in the Horn of Africa. This strait connects the Red Sea to the Gulf of Eden. And apart from these 3 choke points, we have 4 more, which are the Mozambique Channel, the Suez Canal, the Sunda Strait and the Lombok Strait. Now, if you remember from our previous episode, China has very clearly entered very close to all these choke points. To establish dominance over the Strait of Hormuz, China has the Gwadar port in Pakistan on a 40-year lease. and it also has its infrastructure and railway lines to Iran. To establish dominance over the Strait of Bab el-Mandeb and the Suez Canal, China has debt-trapped Djibouti to build its naval base. And then, to capitalize on the Strait of Malacca, Sunda Strait and the Lombok Strait, China has made strategic alliance with Indonesia to build its infrastructure projects. And if you go through the details of the Chinese relations very closely, you will see that China has already established very close relations with the Mozambique government and has established control over a port called the Dar es Salaam port in Tanzania. So in short, the world trade can be stopped within a jiffy if you have control over these choke points in the Indian Ocean. And at the same time, if you do not have control over these points, your enemy can block your trade in no time. And quite evidently, China has slowly extended its dominance over all these choke points. This is the reason why the Indian Ocean is an extremely crucial region with respect to maritime trade, and more importantly for India because of China. But the story does not end here. Apart from maritime trade routes, the Indian Ocean contains some of the most precious resources in the world. In fact,
so China, CCP has built up what they are saying is maybe by unit, just, you know, ships, what have you, the largest navy in the world. But the quality of each unit, who knows, especially considering when China and the CCP does things looking at more quantity over quality, who knows. But you could see, I mean, India is going to have serious issues. The CCP could at any moment try some kind of, obviously they're preoccupied. I shouldn't laugh about it because people are dying, but they're preoccupied in shooting themselves in the foot with these COVID lockdowns in Shanghai, and now it's also spreading to Beijing. They don't have, they don't have faith in their vaccines that they've come up with so far to fight COVID, so they're just lowbrowing it and doing the authoritarian thing and just doing severe lockdowns where people are starving. And their economy is getting decimated. When they get out of this era, we don't know how long that's going to last. They could get into naval incursions, blocking ports, things along those lines. So let's see what this guy says. How is India going to combat that?
Fact, a large portion of the resources of the Indian Ocean is yet to be explored. And it is said that 16.8% of the entire world's reserves and 27.9% of natural gas reserves are in the Indian Ocean itself. And this is where the Indo-China conflict comes in.
The string of pearls theory very simply is that China is trying to encircle India with a number of naval bases in surrounding countries in such a way that it's like a string of pearls around your neck, which the Chinese can then tighten to choke you and choke your neck.
There is a Cold War that is created between India and China.
The string of pearls theory has been discussed for more than a decade, and the Ukraine crisis has renewed interest in the subject.
My answer to that has always been, even if they're trying to do it, which is debatable, I would say that India has a fairly robust neck and that is not so easily strangled.
China has very strategically emerged as one of the most important trading partners of the Indian Ocean region, and it accounts for 16.1% of its total goods trade as of 2017. And like we saw in the Belt and Road video, in the past 2 decades, China has been building infrastructure projects in Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Pakistan and Djibouti. Why? Because all of these regions fall in the trade route of China's oil imports and their exports to Africa, Middle East and Europe. So we have the Gwadar port in Pakistan, Hambantota port in Sri Lanka, Djibouti's naval base and even Myanmar's Quake Phu port. This is what is being called as the strings of pearls theory. Now the burning question over here is, what exactly is India doing to tackle it? Well, instead of openly and boldly announcing its strategy like China, India has been slowly and steadily operating in a stealth mode with something called the necklace of diamonds strategy.
All right, so I'm just finding some basic statistics between the navies, size of India's navy and China's CCP's. India's Vice Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Murugesan, has outlined that India aims to become a 200-ship navy by 2027, noting that the current force stands at around 137 ships. Now, the People's Liberation Army Navy, which is the CCP's navy, has 300,000 active personnel and 530 plus ships and 600 plus aircraft. So CCP has definitely amassed a large navy. I know they're trying to build aircraft carriers, but that takes an enormous amount of money, and that's another thing. I mean, China is not, they're going to go, CCP is going to go bankrupt. I mean, it already is. Evergrande has collapsed. How are they going to continue to militarize? You know, let's have to see. Economically, I just don't see how China's going to survive. There's a massive amount of infighting in the Communist Party. Things are not looking stable.
To understand this, let's take a look at the list of strategic bases India has set up with partner countries, as well as the various trade agreements that India has signed. And by the way, you must have seen a lot of people who often criticize the Prime Minister saying that he's wasting India's money by taking a world tour. Well, for those of you, here's why the Prime Minister of India spends countless hours in traveling all around the world.
हम अपने देश की अखंडता और संप्रभुता के साथ समझौता नहीं करते हैं। जब भी समय आया है, हमने देश की अखंडता और संप्रभुता की रक्षा करने में अपनी शक्ति का प्रदर्शन।
All right, there's no translation for this. Does anybody know what this person is saying in this video?
किया, अपनी क्षमताओं को साबित किया। चाहे स्थिति कुछ भी हो, परिस्थिति कुछ भी हो, एक सर्वोच्च है और इसकी रक्षा।
Placement at Gwadar and Djibouti for China's strategic.
नहीं सकता।
First, let's start from the counter for China's strategic placement at Gwadar and Djibouti. For this, India has very cleverly placed its base over here in Oman, and here's where we have the Dakum port. The Dakum port is where India's important crude imports flow from the Persian Gulf. This place is strategically located on the southeastern seaboard of Oman and is overlooking both the Arabian Sea and the Indian Ocean. On top of that, it is also straddled along the critical sea lanes in the Arabian Sea and the Gulf of Eden. And all thanks to India's relation with Oman, we have military access to this port, which makes it a great defense point. Then we come to this region that is close to the second choke point, which is the Mozambique Channel. In 2015, Modi ji signed an agreement with the Seychelles president to develop a place called the Assumption Island for military use. But unfortunately, after this deal was done, there were a lot of protests. There was a change in government, because of which this diamond as of now is in a shaky situation. Then we come to perhaps the most important choke point of all, which is the Strait of Malacca and the other two choke points right beside it. Here's where we have the Changi Naval Base, wherein in 2018, Modi ji signed an agreement with the government of Singapore. This agreement has provided direct access to the Indian Navy itself. So while sailing through the South China Sea, the Indian Navy can refuel and rearm its ship through this base. This is followed by the Sabang port in Indonesia. And again, in 2018, India got military access to Sabang port, which is located right at the entrance of the Malacca Strait. So theoretically, we have a firm grip over the Strait of Malacca. And if you remember from our China's BRA video, 70% of China's oil supply and 60% of their trade passes through the Strait of Malacca. So choking this point is like choking the Chinese economy itself. After that, we have the Indo-Vietnam Diamond, and long story short, we have historically had a great relationship with Vietnam. We supply some of the most important defense equipment to Vietnam, and we have signed a comprehensive strategic partnership with Vietnam in 2016 itself. Then we have our important diamond in Japan. On 9th of September 2020, India and Japan signed something called the Acquisition and Cross-Servicing Agreement that would allow militaries of both these countries to exchange supplies and services on a reciprocal basis. So again, Japan and India can use each other's port as per their strategic requirements. And the best...
Alright, so as you can see, India is making deals in other countries for port access, military deal with Japan. I mean, they're basically doing what U.S. has been doing with Japan and the whole region. U.S., the U.K., and Australia. I think those are the three main ones. That's the new. There's one more. Why? I don't think Canada is in that Quad deal, the recent one. Biden and this is last year. Biden, what the hell did he? Biden announced his joint deal with UK, Australia, Canada, China. Yeah, Canada's been left out of. Canada was in. There have been deals with Canada, UK, and Australia, but this go around in the past few years, Canada's sitting on the sidelines. I don't know if that's because CCP, China, basically has taken over Canada. That's what it seems like in a lot of ways. I'm hearing Trudeau is making military agreements with the CCP. But I think eventually. Because I was talking to Nojo about this. I think eventually China's, they're not going to be able to do all. They're doing many things at once, all over the world. It's just insane. Eventually, that's going to collapse, and I would think that's where you're going to see some kind of disconnection between all these agreements that are being made between Trudeau and China. And eventually, I think Trudeau's days are numbered, but who knows? It doesn't seem like anyone likes him. But that's kind of off topic. Let's finish up with this video on India and what it's doing to combat CCP aggression. I'm going to finish this up, and then I've got a video demo of Unreal Engine 5. I'm working on getting back into Unreal Engine 5. I've been messing around with it. My main priority is like crypto wallet and a few other things, but I try to find the time to dig into Unreal Engine 5. I really think it's going to change video game landscape. So I'm going to have a Superman video of the Matrix. I think they used the Matrix demo that came out recently, and then there is source code for that. I'm actually going to see if I can find that source code. I'll post it in the chat. But let's finish up with how India is trapping China with its military strategy.
The best part about this point is that if you look at the map, you will see that it gives us a very, very close placement to the mainland of China itself. And then we have Mongolia, where Modi ji became the first Indian Prime Minister to visit, and more importantly, India has established a very strong relation with Mongolia by giving out a $1 billion credit to develop an air corridor for Mongolia. And lastly, we have the Chabahar port in Iran. And if you remember from our China video again, Iran is also a part of the Chinese BRI initiative, wherein they have a railway line from China to Iran, passing through Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan to finally ending at Tehran in Iran. So here's where India very cleverly understood the importance of Iran. So in 2015 itself, when Iran was facing crippling economic sanctions and diplomatic isolation, India agreed to develop a deep water port in Chabahar on the Gulf of Oman. And as a part of this deal, Modi ji visited Iran and signed the agreement worth $500 million to develop this port and related infrastructure. And if you see, it's not just strategic with respect to China's infra in Iran, but also very, very close to the Gwadar port in Pakistan. Now, if you connect all these points together on the world map, you will see that it's literally a necklace around China, and more importantly, they are strategically located points that can be used to counter the Chinese in case of any military conflict. Now, although the relations with all these countries is not as ideal as we would like, it is a very, very significant step to make sure that the dragon is not left completely loose. This is what India is doing to make sure that we are protected from the notorious Chinese moves. And this brings me to the most important part of the episode, and that are the study materials to help you understand India's geopolitical relations and strategy better. Before we move on, I want to thank our partners Wind Wealth for supporting our content. For full disclosure, Things Cool is also...
Right, I'm going to finish up with this video, but yeah, you don't hear a lot about what India is doing, at least not in the West here in the United States and North America. You don't hear a lot about what India is doing to combat CCP aggression worldwide, and obviously in that oh so important Indian Ocean and all those trade routes. And we'll have to see how globalization evolves. I mean, I'd like to see globalization just go away. We really don't need it. I think regions of the world should become self-sufficient, and we can do trade, but we shouldn't rely on trade. Every region in the world should be self-sufficient. That means everything. The medicines that we need, the food, what have you. Obviously, that's not possible for a lot of countries and a lot of regions. But leverage technology and get it done. That's all that, in my mind, that there has to be some level of self-sufficiency. Otherwise, if we go back to globalization, we're just going to go down this road again. And it's just not a long-term plan that's going to work. Now, Klaus Schwab is doing the best that he can with the environmental social governance body that he's created, but he will fail miserably. And you heard it here first. All right, so let's move on to this Unreal Engine 5, and this is from GamerRanks. If you're a game nerd, check it out on SnoozeTube. But Matrix, right around when the time before they came out with that awful remake of the Matrix, if anyone in the chat has seen it, have you seen the latest Matrix movie? It's so horrible, I don't want to watch it. But let me know if you've seen the latest Matrix movie. Let me know in the chat. I've heard horrible things. I have not found one person yet that liked it. Anyway, they came out with a demo in Unreal Engine of a Matrix-like city. Really cool. There's a lot of great tech in Unreal Engine 5 that basically, there's nano, there's all these things that allow you to do more things at once in a video game environment, development environment. I checked it out on Xbox. I haven't checked it out on PC yet, and I also have to see if I can find the source code for this Superman demo that's built on top of the Matrix source code on Unreal Engine 5. But let's check this out. I'm going to search for the source code. We'll check out the video from GamerRanks. So this is basically Superman. Somebody just took the source code and stuck Superman into this Matrix city environment using Unreal Engine 5.
Not long ago, we got The Matrix Awakens, this amazing Unreal 5 tech demo that showed us what was possible with a city environment. And now, modders that are also Superman fans are starting to get to it. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on GameRanks, we're going to talk about this Unreal Engine 5 Superman demo that is absolutely mind-blowing. So a few days ago, this mod was posted at itch.io by a guy named Tyson Butler Bashma, and it's simply titled A Superman-Style Flight Experience, and is exactly what it sounds like, a small proof of concept for a potential future Superman game. Now, every once in a while, we do see a few homegrown Superman games come out. Like, remember that Undefeated game that came out on Steam a few years back? We talked about that here on this channel, and frankly, it's a really enjoyable experience as well. Hell, modders have been sneaking Superman into games like GTA 5 for quite a while now, and there is very clearly a lot of fan support for a game starring the Man of Tomorrow. This mod may be the most impressive thing we've seen yet, and that is partially because it uses the visually impressive Unreal Engine 5 Matrix demo as a base and replaces the character from that with a Superman-like model along with sounds and animations. Now, it's relatively simple, but the results are mind-blowing. Like, the potential for a real next-gen experience is here, and right now, this is probably the closest thing we've got to seeing. Obviously, part of that is that we haven't really seen a Superman game that looks good. We've seen a lot of mods, like I said, but another part of it is that it really looks good. The developers being really careful, saying on their itch.io page this is not actually Superman. For legal reasons, they made sure to make the character generic enough not to offend any rights holders, but it's also clearly meant to show what a Superman game would be like, and being able to control him in such a stunningly detailed environment with, frankly, a pretty good moveset just leaves us hungry for more. Now, it's interesting because at this point, I've gotten pretty used to the Matrix demo. Like, I've played around with it. I've watched a lot of other people glitch it and find little things they can get out of it. There's a particularly interesting video on how to get out of the borders, so you can go check out the city beyond the actual city. I mean, it doesn't yield anything particularly special, but it's certainly interesting. But I've been for a while waiting to see when someone would actually make a mod for it. A lot of the reason why people don't is because it was a console exclusive. But Epic Games released the city as a project that people could load up using the Unreal environment, and another developer packaged it as a regular game and put it up on Google Drive as a 17GB download, and people have been starting to tinker with it. This demo is basically the first big result, I think, that we're going to see from people using this city as a sort of start point for their own projects. Now, it should come as no surprise that the demo is stunning. Uses pretty much every...
Now, Anyword says in the chat that he has seen the Matrix movie and it wasn't that bad. All right. Well, maybe I'll go... as long as I don't have to pay for it. I'm not saying I'm going to be doing anything illegal, but I don't know. I might check it out. It's just, if it turns out that it's horrible, you know, it might ruin my day. That's the only thing. But I'll see. I'll see what I can find.
Trick in the new Unreal Engine 5 playbook to show what a truly next-gen experience would look like. This is, of course, talking about the Unreal 5 Matrix demo, but, like, this is the list of systems you can find here. World Partition, Nanite, Lumen, Chaos, Rule Processor, Mass AI, Niagara, MetaHumans, MetaSounds, and Temporal Super Resolution. That is a ton of buzzwords, but it basically adds up to why Unreal Engine 5 demos can look this good and also are able to run at all on modern hardware.
Has anyone checked out this demo? I know it's when it released, I think it was... I know definitely was on Xbox, but I'm not sure about PlayStation 5 or 4. And I've got a link after this video on the demo that released for PC, which I believe is an Unreal Engine 5 project that you can load in with the source code without any Matrix characters, like anything copyrightable, I guess. I don't know. But I definitely want to take a look at that and see if I can get that compiled and run it. I have to turn my air conditioner on for that because my fucking workstation is going to get hot.
A lot of stuff going on in the background to get all of this to work. Now, all you can really do as Superman is fly around, but the effects combined with the visuals create this really visceral feeling to the experience of flying that very few other games have managed to reach. Like, look at this. It is stunning, and it just feels cool as hell. Now, of course, we'd like to be able to do a few more things, like use Superman's ice breath or heat vision or just punch someone through a building, but it actually seems like this mod author isn't interested in exploring this any further. It's going to be likely up to future creators to take the ideas here and expand on them. But the thing that's interesting there is that some guy just basically...
I really like cityscapes. I really want to build a cityscape. I've been doing this in Unreal Engine 5, and I want to start a game off in the Bronx, probably the South Bronx, like Mott Haven, Fordham Road area, Central Bronx. I don't know. A few other, Riverside, who knows. But I had a section of Mott Haven that I rendered off of Open Maps. I think it was Open Maps. And I got it into Unreal Engine 5. And it's just the basic structure of the Bronx. Several blocks of the Bronx. But it didn't have all the textures on the buildings and all that. I literally have to go in. There was actually something with the Unity engine that did all this. And I know might be able to do it. I should be able to set some kind of default textures across all the buildings to at least get some kind of textures on the buildings so they don't just look like flat surfaces with a color. But I want to see if I can get this map of the Bronx into Unreal Engine 5 and then start doing all of the building textures. And then I can use something that would take a long time, but I could use Google Maps with the Google van where they drive around, and I can literally drive through the Bronx. And I might even, if I can get to the point where I can get this project off the ground, I might even sublet an apartment in the Bronx, maybe in the summertime, like near Arthur Avenue or something. Yeah, there's a lot of cool tools out there for taking open map data and rendering cityscapes with it. But this is what's cool about this project. It's already done. This fictitious city here, and so it's a really, really cool way to experiment with Unreal Engine 5.
Figured out Superman flight in video games. Again, this is something that many developers have taken on and no one has really successfully done. What I would love to see is a proper AAA Superman game, but the best we ever seem to get are these types of mods. So I guess we'll kind of just take what we can get. It's also important to keep in mind that, yeah, this looks incredible, but it also comes at a price. This isn't very optimized, and it even struggles to get a decent frame rate on even our beastly PCs with NVIDIA 3080s in them. So keep in mind it's not perfect. Again, a large reason for why that is that this is just built on a project file of the Matrix City that was released to PC and that people are basically just starting to tinker with. But the idea is such a simple and fun one that it's pretty easy to overlook. Just make sure you've got a PC with some horsepower before even deciding to try to load this up. It is, at the moment, a system melter. Compare this to the last officially licensed Superman game, Superman Returns, and I mean, seriously. That game is now over 15 years old, and it looked pretty rough back when it originally came out, so it looks ancient now. The fact someone is able to make something that looks this good using a demo city and some stock assets is simply incredible, and it really shows how far gaming, like as a landscape, has come. Keep in mind, the guy who created this mod isn't just some random. Tyson Butler Boschma is actually the creative director and founder of Toybox Games, so he's not just some nobody, he has some experience working with the Unreal environment, and that's a big reason why this mod, though small, does look as professional as it does. However, it's still just one guy. And even though all you can do is fly, he still managed to add some pretty cool features here. There's 5 different poses you can cycle through while flying, like there's a super fast flying option. You can even do a heroic landing by fast flying directly into the ground. It's all really impressive and slick. And once again, I just look at it. The whole thing is visually incredible. The city itself looks almost photorealistic at times.
I just want to look at the
visually incredible, impressive and slick. And once again,
collision detection. The car just bounces off him. That's pretty cool.
And slick. And once again, I just look at it. The whole thing is visually incredible. The city itself looks almost photorealistic at times, and the real-time shadows, heavy traffic, and large crowds, it's really impressive. Like, that's mostly the Matrix demo, and it's definitely not perfect. When you go around exploring the Matrix demo, you can find some really strange imperfections, actually. There's places where, like, rooms in buildings look really bizarre. There's alleys that no human...
I believe they're using flat images somehow, a lot of these rooms that are in the buildings, and then they create spatial 3D like spaces out of flat images, but I'm not sure.
That actually walk through places where 2 buildings come up against one another and clearly a window overlaps in a very strange way. Some have speculated there was an algorithmic element to the building of the city, and I wouldn't be shocked by that, but I also don't care because again, it's not a full game. It's just a demo where you can drive through a city, but then you add Superman in on top of that, and screwing around in the city is just all around a ton of fun, especially if you're a Man of Steel fan. If you want to try this whole thing out, it's not hard. While it is based on that project file that Epic released of the city, it's not simply a project file, it is packaged as a game. We have a link to the mod in the description. Downloading it is a little trickier than what you might be used to, though, at least at the moment we're publishing this video. The mod exceeds the itch.io file size limit, so the download link on the page only gets you a README and a screenshot. So there's a link
Muted. All right, now I am not muted. Thank you very much. All right, so this is from PCGamer.com. The Unreal Engine 5 Matrix demo is now on PC, kind of, and this was posted April 5th, 2022. So it doesn't sound like they've added it to the marketplace, which is the easiest thing to do. Literally, all you do is point and click, download all the source code. It loads it right into Unreal Engine 5, and you're ready to go. So it sounds like you got to do some finagling. I think this is the actual video of the...
Wondered.
Yeah, this is all the tech. All right. Back before the Matrix Resurrections hit HBO. Let me just check. What is this? Literally off of somebody's Google Drive. What the... All right. Anyway, I'll post it in the chat, but this is just some guy's personal Google Drive. I don't even think the link may not work, and obviously wear protection if you're going to download this code. It's just off somebody's Google Drive. I'm going to see if it's still available, but you know what? I should probably do that before I post the link. So let me just open this puppy over here. All right, that didn't work. All right, what is going on? It's not copying the link. Here we go. Whoa. Let me see if I can get to this. Sorry, the file you have requested does not exist. So it's already been removed. That's irritating. Carl has mirrored it on mega.nz. There's a second mirror here too. Let me see if I can get to the second mirror. I also uploaded the demo on my CDN. So let's see if I can hit this. I don't know, just going really slow. File not found. All right, that's not cool. So there are several links in here. I'm going to post it anyway. I'll have to do this off stream and see if I can get access to the code, because there's multiple mirrors I can check, but it looks like most of them have been taken down. But here in the chat, possible links for Matrix. I mean, if you want to take a stab at it and see if you can find one of these mirror links that works. Oh, okay. So alternatively, if you have UE5 installed, you can find the city's sample project on the Unreal Engine Marketplace, both in full or separated into its component parts. So let's see if this link loads. This is what I was talking about. So I was wondering if they had released it to the marketplace. So, all right. So there is something here, as you can see in the stream. This is what I was talking about. This is the Unreal Marketplace. You just got to sign in, and it should be free to download the project. Reveals how the city scene from the Matrix Awakened and Unreal Engine 5 experience was built, and demonstrates how we used Unreal Engine 5 to bring it to life. So I think it's just basics. Hopefully it has, I don't know if they were using C+ for the programming aspect or just the blueprints. There's C+, so literal C+ code that you write to interact with the building of the game, and then there's also this other thing they have called blueprints, which is like a drag and drop GUI, user interface objects that you drag and drop and connect to and add functionality to build the game. Unreal Engine 5 is free to download, so definitely you need a high-end AMD or NVIDIA card, something from the 3000 series as high as you can go on NVIDIA or AMD 6000 series. 6090, I saw in Best Buy. It's not a well-known GPU maker, but the 6090 dropped from like $1,500 around there for this one brand to I think $800 or $700. The AMD 6090 is going to go way down in price. You should be able to get a 6090 in the $700 to $900 range by the end of the year. It should be commonplace. And it's one of the best games for rasterizing. You're going to get high FPS. And you can do all right in Unreal Engine 5. You're obviously not going to have support for NVIDIA's DLSS, but AMD is creating Fidelity FX, FSR, whatever they're calling. I think it's FSR 2.0 that just came out, and it's competing with DLSS. NVIDIA's super sampling image project. All right, so it's in the marketplace, so that's good. So if you're into Unreal Engine 5, there it is. The Matrix project is up. I'll have a future stream on how it goes. I'm going to definitely download it and tweak it, check it out, see what I can break, what I can do with it. Let me just check. Actually, I want to check Odyssey. Let's see. Checks out some Mark Moss
welcome
videos
to
here. Let's see if he's done anything new. He does have a few new videos here. How buying or managing can help you increase blah, blah, blah. Path to personal sovereignty.
In the previous...
All right, we'll check out a little bit of this. Go back to crypto, all that stuff, decentralization. Actually, let me... I'll load this video up here. And I want to check
previous video that I did.
So let's just check the CoinDesk first. Let's check out the headlines from CoinDesk before we get into the Mark Moss video. And what do we got? Market wrap, Bitcoin unable to hold 30K, all coins mixed. Lockheed Martin, Filecoin Foundation to explore hosting blockchain nodes in space. What the? Did not expect this. We'll check out a little bit of this article. What else? Crypto industry battles to exempt NFTs DeFi from tax reporting rules. Good luck with that. Madison Cawthorn hit with U.S. House ethics investigation over crypto promotion. That's interesting. Maybe do a little bit from that one. How much more private can ZK get? This is interesting from the fallout of Luna's demise. Fed survey, 12% of U.S. adults held crypto in 2021. There was no Terra attack. Okay, whatever. Let's start out with this one. Now, from what I gathered, there was a hedge fund, as I mentioned earlier in the stream, there was a hedge fund that dumped an enormous amount of Luna, and that was, they are saying, was part of the downfall of Luna. There was no mechanism in place to prevent everybody from selling off, and they sold off, which made me wonder, was part of Luna, was it a bot attack of some kind? Accounts were automated and all this selling was happening, or I just don't understand the concept of so many people just freaking out. Oh, Luna's bombing. I should sell and lose money. This just doesn't. I don't know. I just can't wrap my mind around it. But this is from CoinDesk.com. There was no terror attack. Conspiracy theories won't save you from financial reality, says CoinDesk chief insight columnist. For the past 6 weeks, I've had an eagle eye on the Terra UST algorithmic stablecoin system. First writing about it, why it would collapse, and watching as it did exactly that. The human tragedy has been immense. And while Terra creator Do Kwon and his supporters may want to label the disaster a mere speed bump on the way to success, a spate of civil and criminal proceedings suggests that many suspect it constituted fraud. But today I want to focus on the other side of the equation. I've seen repeated references to the idea that UST lost its peg because of an attack, and a coordinated attack, and even a hit job. This framing often comes from those trying to defend UST's fundamental soundness, despite many years' worth of warnings that algorithmic stablecoins are doomed to fail. The entire concept of algorithmic stablecoins is extremely difficult to envision because crypto is going to will remain volatile for quite some time. Regulation is going to have to come in, blah, blah, blah. So I think for the whole concept of stablecoins should be avoided. But I was just reading about Cardano is working on a stablecoin peg. And I'm going to do some more research on that for a future stream. Is it likely true that the depegging of UST was at least partly the result of an attack in the sense that capital was deployed strategically and in large amounts to bring down the Terra peg? But there is a troubling misdirection just beneath that material level. You can see hints of it in references to the hypothetical attackers as immoral or as more malicious than Do Kwon himself. It manifests just slightly differently and unfounded and irresponsible rumors that a huge hedge fund company like BlackRock or Citadel is behind the attack. Okay, so this guy is saying that the hedge fund didn't sell off. So when are we going to figure out what actually fucking happened? The subtext of these defensive ticks is something like this. The collapse of UST wasn't a real failure because the big banks on Wall Street hate crypto and they sabotage us because they hate us. Okay, whatever. If you spend a lot of time thinking about financial markets, this line of thinking is so foreign that it's not easy to pinpoint all the ways in which it's wrong, so I was naturally furious and humbled to come across a single tweet from an obscure anonymous account that nailed the logical flaws better than I could. Look, the reality is that something nefarious happened with Luna. I wouldn't put it past it could be the NSA, it could be the CCP. The CCP is still mining Bitcoin. They definitely lost a certain percentage of the hash rate, but CCP still wants to manipulate Bitcoin. Russia wants to everybody wants to manipulate Bitcoin, and everybody wants to manipulate the crypto market. So I don't know if we're ever going to get the true reasons behind this Luna collapse. But now that crypto is mainstream, at least that everybody now knows it exists, there's going to be market manipulation, and that's really what happened with Luna. But it's extremely important that we verify and find out exactly what happened so that the industry can move forward. There was no attack. User at Pitchbend wrote in part, if the design is flawed, it deserves to collapse, the sooner the better. What you call an attack was a stress test, and Terra failed it. Okay. I agree. Whoever attacked the peg is more malicious than Do Kwon. Building Luna was transparent. Investments were voluntary. Builders and investors took risks to create value. They could have improved design later. Attacker realized the loss for many to make profit. There's no attacker. Code is law. Blockchains don't run on good faith. It's an adversarial environment. Everyone knows that. If the design is flawed, it deserves to collapse. The sooner the better. All right, but we need to put mechanisms in place to prevent stuff like this happening again. That's the real takeaway from all of this. So what is being done? The thing about the markets is they don't have a morality. To paraphrase New York University professor of marketing Scott Galloway, they have no mercy, but also no malice. The person trading against you doesn't care who you are, just what your position is. There are exceptions, as when activist investors Carlson and Bill Ackman engaged in a very personal war over Herbalife, a maker of nutritional supplements. But generally, the only attackers in finance are people who see an opportunity to profit from someone else's mistake. They don't care if they're shorting a diamond mine staffed by Congolese child labor or an investment fund for widows and orphans. If they smell money, they strike. I get all this. I've covered George Soros's massive manipulation of the UK pound. He made $1 billion in the trade. Why do we allow this to happen? Why do we allow Luna to happen? I think the underlying issue here is these massive trades that some people in their camp say, well, it's capitalism, whatever, it's free trade. People, you can't put limits on what people, the trades they can make. Well, but when these trades create so many issues, and when one person can make $1 billion off it, like what Soros did, how is that fair? You're basically saying that the whales can control the markets, and don't we really need to be working on a market that that can at least help prevent that? I don't know. Maybe it's not worth dealing with. What do you guys think in the chat? I mean, should there be some kind of limit on what these whales, you know? And the whole idea of blockchain is it's a recorded digital ledger of every transaction. I mean, it's there. It's a digital footprint. We can trace it. I just don't buy into when whales sell enormous positions or buy enormous positions. That's market manipulation in my mind. So is it possible to prevent that? And is it even worth going down that path? To draw the most obvious parallel, obviously, he brings up George Soros. Billionaire investor George Soros didn't attack the English pound in '92 because he hated the United Kingdom. That certainly might have been how he felt. I have no idea, but it doesn't matter because it still wouldn't have had anything to do with his assessment of the financial condition of the pound, the profit potential of shorting it, and his likelihood of victory. In the case of Terra, the profit potential was huge. The definitive numbers are still emerging, but one detailed analysis estimated $800 million in profit from the play. You don't have to hate crypto, Terra, or Duquan personally to pursue that kind of money. That number is also roughly on par with $682 million jump trading was estimated to have spent defending the UST peg, according to Block's research director. Now, I know in the traditional markets, and this is a huge problem for crypto, traditional markets, there's limitations on trades there's the trading hours, whatever, during the day, at least, the U.S. I think most world markets are like this. And then I believe you can do some kind of off-hours trades, but there's limitations in there. There's regulations. With crypto, you can trade 24/7. The markets are always moving. Traditional markets like the Dow, they don't move that much after trading's done. It's always during active trading, like recently when we had the 1,200-point drop in the Dow. So crypto, that's a huge problem. It's 24/7, constant trading, and Luna, people were saying there should have been some kind of stopgap to prevent Luna from failing like this. And I am of the opinion that Soros shouldn't have been able to do what he did. There needs to be stopgaps in there. If somebody with enormous wealth like a Soros, they have to do it. The trades have to be done across, chunks, not massive sell-offs or buys, stuff like that. it has to be done over maybe a longer period of time in multiple trades, so the market doesn't hemorrhage, and you don't get these panic attacks. You don't throw the market into hysteria. That's the absolute worst time to trade, unless you're manipulating the markets like what Soros did. So going back to Luna, it was $800 million in profit from the play. That number is also roughly on par with the $682 million jump trading was estimated to have spent defending the USD peg, according to the block's research director. That spending also puts the lie to the idea of a shadowy conspiracy of a malicious attack. If there was something underhanded about the attack on the peg, something that broke the rules of the market, why was Jump using market mechanisms to defend it? So he says further, I see a couple takeaways. The first is a reminder just how poorly many people who are now speculating crypto understand financial markets. This has always been a troubling background issue for crypto. Those of watching closely know just how experimental this technology and ecosystem are, and how often well-regarded projects fail or peter out. There's a natural impulse to want to protect people who might not understand those risks at the time. A major promise of crypto was opening up capital markets to people who wouldn't qualify to contribute to a traditional VC fund. That openness has helped make a lot of early crypto investors wealthy, and they have in turn funded startups and projects that expanded the ecosystem further. The second takeaway is equally complicated. Though rumors about BlackRock and Citadel are just that, it does seem very plausible that some large mainstream hedge fund was involved in the Terra DPEG. That would be a major double-edged sword. On the one hand, it would mean crypto is regarded as a robust and trustworthy enough ecosystem that mainstream finance is willing to risk shorting it. The emergence of more such shorts would furthermore benefit the ecosystem long-term, providing a profit motive for asking hard questions about projects. But at the same time, it could mark the end of what will, in retrospect, seem like a decade of blissful innocence in crypto. Mainstream finance has been happy to collect trading fees on crypto and invest in startups, but when serious tradings backed by big piles of money start looking for ways to profit by eating crypto's weak and frail, they may find a target-rich environment. And that just comes down to where crypto is headed. It's going to continue to consolidate and consolidate. Luna is not going to survive. I just don't see Do Kwon surviving. He's trying to change directions. Checking out the chat anywhere it says BlackRock and Citadel could have been involved. Jeff Berwick made billions on Luna at a very low price. The story is extremely interesting. It was probably just Do Kwon that set it up to fail. I don't think Do Kwon set it up to fail. I think he thought he could scam everybody. I think the reason why that massive sell, whoever did it, whether it was BlackRock or whatever, worked is because Luna was not back. It was not set up properly. It was a scam. I mean, they even tried pumping $800 million in to save it. So I think we'll find out down the road exactly where the kinks were in Luna. And also at the same time, you have a very unstable U.S. dollar, and it was pegged to that. So just lots of market manipulation going on, and it really does not make sense. Crypto is already too volatile, and the U.S. dollar is moving into a very volatile period. It's going to sink in value. Many countries are moving away from it. India, China, Russia, blah blah blah. The petrodollar is dying fast. So to have a stable coin in crypto pegged to the U.S. dollar makes no sense. Maybe in 5 years, maybe in 10 years, the industry has to evolve. Continuing the chat from Anyword. The government certainly isn't going to do anything about it in our favor. Just don't buy anything with a stable coin peg. And we'll check out this link from Anyword first, and then I'll finish up with CoinDesk News, and then end the stream with a Mark Moss video. All right, so this is what Anyword sent. It's an Odyssey video, and it's what you were referencing as the guy that bought Luna at ridiculously near zero price. I was taking a look at Coinbase. From what I searched, Coinbase said it offered Luna, but after the collapse, which was around May 9th or whatever it was, 11th or 12th, I was checking about 5 days after that, and Coinbase was not offering it. So I don't know if most exchanges were freezing people out of buying Luna. But that brings me to another issue in crypto that is extremely unfair. Average investors are getting blocked out of XRP is a perfect example. SEC came in. You can't buy XRP anymore in the United States. It's very difficult. I know there's ways to do it, but you got to jump through a lot of hoops and what have you. And I think definitely some things were happening with Luna where they were freezing many people out of purchasing Luna.
You must stay at home. If you don't follow the rules, the police will have the powers to enforce them.
The Prime Minister has announced the most drastic limits to our lives the UK has ever seen in living.
Stay at home and stay at least 2 meters away from people.
We have got to put in place the public health surveillance, the isolation, the quarantine, the case finding, the detection. We have got to be able to show that we can
frightened so that it can.
If you have any complaints, just put it down below. We'll send you your refund immediately. Oh man. So you might be thinking, man, he looks like he's in a pretty good mood. You know, the cryptos have been crashing. Like most of the cryptos I have are down like 50% or more in the last few days. And you would think, man, he must be really destroyed. No, not really. Plus, oh man, this is the craziest story, seriously. This might be the best all-time crypto trade in history. If anyone knows a better trade than this, and I'm gonna explain it to you, this is wild. And it happened, there's Lucy. Oh, that's lucky. They look the same from distance. Where's Lucy? There's Lucy. So, as you probably have seen, I talked about Luna in the last video, Terra Luna, and I mentioned it was down to like $10 or $20 or something. Well, that was a long time ago. That was a few days ago. It was actually about $120 about 2 weeks ago. This story is crazy. Just hang around for this. You're not going to believe this story. Where should I go? I want to go over here, but it's a little wet. Yeah, I don't know. We'll just hang out around here. So it was 120 bucks, and then they did it. If you don't know about it, it's a coin called Terra, and the symbol is Luna. I always just call it Luna. I didn't even know it was called Terra. I actually didn't know much about it until this week when so they started a stable coin. Remember me laughing at stable coins? Well, this is the worst stable coin ever because stable coin's supposed to stay near $1, and this one went down to like 10. It's around 10 cents right now. And the whole thing was it was an algorithmic stable coin, and hang on. And so it's not really backed by anything, but they did buy a ton of Bitcoin. That's what was supposed to kind of back it. And the other backing for it was supposed to be Terra or Luna. And it's a long story, but the crypto vigilante guys have written about it numerous times in the last year. The most recent was in like February. It's like 2 months ago. And I'll put it on screen. Here's what they wrote. It was actually March. Back in March, TCV crypto asset analyst Mr. Z issued a stark warning to our members about the death spiral risks of so-called stablecoins like Luna. So it's for the March edition. Regardless, getting too excited about Luna UST for me is difficult because their conversion process doesn't even have lockup times. In other words, they seem to be unabashedly embracing the prospect of a death spiral doom loop downward.
I mean, obviously, an event like this in crypto now, crypto's mainstream. If this had happened back in 2017, 2015, it wouldn't have made mainstream. But now that crypto is in the mainstream news cycle, it's not going away. Obviously, you have Janet Yellen, everyone's favorite Secretary of the Treasury in the United States, going on about regulation. So it's obviously fallout's going to mean more regulation. But to me, it really signifies the manipulation that's going on with the U.S. dollar worldwide. Invasion of Ukraine by Russia. That's Putin basically giving the finger to the U.S. petrodollar. You have a whole movement. India is still working with Russia. They have a long history trading with Russia, what have you. They're not honoring like the embargo and the sanctions that U.S. has put on Russia. You've got this huge shift. The U.S. dollar is weakening. It's losing its power rapidly. And then you have a massive attack like this. Could it have been done by BlackRock? Perhaps. But just stable coins in general that are pegged to U.S. dollar or whatever make no sense. And will we eventually get to the point? I mean, obviously, we need more CBDCs done at the government level, but eventually, crypto will, replace the traditional markets. Was Bitcoin going to hold some kind of hedge? I mean, it's still a good hedge against the U.S. dollar. But this is a really long video. I've seen this guy before. I've followed him already on Odyssey. But he seems like he's filming from some resort. I don't know where he is. Is he in the Mediterranean? It's just, I don't know. It's like, seems like one of those. I don't know if he's. Anyway, if you know more about this guy, the crypto vigilante, I mean, what's his deal? I mean, is he on a beach because he wants to show everybody that he makes billions and billions of dollars in crypto? And is he, or is it all just like a facade? I'm trying to learn a little bit more. What this, what's this guy's history?
If confidence in the asset is ever tested, sellers of UST would beget more sellers, which would beget more sellers, and so forth, causing Luna to implode. The fact that as of this writing, the market cap of Luna is only 2 times the market cap of UST would be completely insane to me, perhaps, but for the next point. That's barely any buffer at all, and all it would take is a hiccup for a massive unwind to hit. With this perspective, I would not feel comfortable using UST as a reliable store of value. Yes, they wrote that in March. They actually wrote about it last year too, saying it's not going to work. And just so you know, the TCV analyst guys are some that they're.
I mean, all right. So say he made millions with Luna, buying it at near zero prices. What do you do with it? I don't. At the present time, the U.S. dollar is falling, and they printed so much money. I don't want to convert to fiat, or what are people doing? I would, if it's true he made all this, I would just either buy gold, silver, maybe some other precious metals, whatever, Bitcoin, whatever, spread it around that way. physical, maybe even physical metals, gold, what have you. Does he get into that anywhere in the video? I mean, they always go on about how they made millions as, you know, that's a catchy title. You know, that's something you want to click on. I've made millions. But does he say where he moved his profits to?
Basically all Satoshi. Super smart guys. Like Mr. Z, billionaires ask him where they should put their funds in crypto. And so he understands all this stuff incredibly well. And he wrote about it at TCV. So if you had known that and you ended up not buying it or shorting it, you would have been so much better off. But you know what's funny? When he first posted that article, I heard so many people complaining. A bunch of people unsubscribed. This is so typical. It's actually really not easy to run a financial newsletter, just so you know. Because a lot of times when you're right about something, you're not right away. And it really pisses off a lot of people who don't want you to be right about it. And they get all mad. And it's not until after it all happens the way you said that some people figure it out. But you really don't get a lot of you get a lot of people just attacking you all the time. But how incredible was that? Like, that's one of the calls of the entire crypto market since its beginning, is that a month and a half or 2 months before Luna went from $120 to, get this, 0.000001 cents. And how do I know that exact number? I'm going to get into that. Because on top of TCV making one of the best calls of all time, and no one talks about him. Who are like the popular guys, right? It's like, you know, Max Kaiser and Pompliano, who's like a big Musk fanboy. And, you know, nothing against Max. Max is a friend. He's been to my house and stuff. But, like, he doesn't really know much about crypto, really. I think he got into Bitcoin because of me, really. But anyway, that's it doesn't matter. My point is, like, no one knows about Mr. Z. Isn't that funny? Like,
I'm gonna check out the rest of the video. It's really long, and some of his older stuff. I've seen him around a lot, but I've got to sell all my crypto and just live on a beach for the rest of my life, right? I mean, I don't have any pigment, so I can't really be in the sun because I turn into a lobster. But yeah, so I guess he's living the life. I don't know. I must be doing something wrong. But let me check out. I'm going to go through some of these CoinDesk articles pretty quick. Lockheed Martin, Filecoin Foundation to explore hosting blockchain nodes in space. The two plan to identify a test mission by August 2022. I feel like Elon Musk needs to be involved in this with his satellite operation, Starlink. I'm surprised he hasn't gotten his dirty, greasy little fingers involved in this project. Defense contractor Lockheed Martin, the Filecoin Foundation, could soon make an open-source blockchain network accessible in space. Two organizations announced Monday. Lockheed and Filecoin plan to identify a satellite or other spacefaring platform that can hold the technology to operate an interplanetary file system node, which I was discussing, earlier in the stream, IPFS. IPFS definitely needs to become more scalable and secure, so maybe it'll be good to have IPFS nodes out there in the stratosphere or whatever, going around the Earth or wherever the hell it would be. IPFS is an open-source data storage and sharing protocol aimed at speeding up data downloads by letting network participants, holders share information. The idea is to reduce latency when downloading data from remote locations, such as the moon, said Marta Belcher, the head of policy and general counsel at Protocol Labs. I mean, this gives me faith that, you know, IPFS will eventually get there. It's just taking forever. It's been around for a long time in technology years. At least somewhere between 6 and 8 years. I'm very much interested in it because I want to get all my streams on there, my news content, stuff like that. I'm already uploading it to IPFS so that it can be preserved for future generations, because I know my content is obviously something that should be preserved for future generations, right? I have an ego problem. And also censorship, IPFS. All the data gets replicated across the nodes, so you upload something, there's a copy of it. Obviously, it needs to be done securely, and that technology has to mature, but it's the whole file storage backbone for the new web, Web3, blockchain, crypto, what have you. And if you know of an IPFS search engine that works, one that can find, I uploaded some of the Canuck and Yankee shows, some of the past shows, and I cannot find them on the IPFS search engines that I've found, and I can't remember the ones I used. I'm going to work on, sorry, I'm going to work on a page on variant-news.com that will archive all the IPFS search engines out there. More and more of them are going to be sprouting up. I mean, really, Google has a lot at risk here. If another company comes up with an IPFS search engine that's better than... From what I'm aware, Google is not, at least publicly, has not implemented any kind of search engine that can search IPFS. So, don't they have concerns that... Sorry, I got something in my windpipe or something. I apologize. Please don't sue me. I apologize for coughing. Google, I mean, that is actually something to research, and I will do that right now. Is Google building a IPFS search engine? That is something I want to know. So let's take a look. I'm going to put a Reddit link in the chat. It has a bunch of stuff. Obviously, be careful if you hit any links off of this. I haven't gone through it yet, but as it currently stands, I don't think Google's going to have an IPFS search engine, and if they do, they could be so far behind the 8 ball on it that they won't be able to compete. If there is a company that does come and fix that, I'm going to also be looking into how this shit works. I have to figure out why I can't find my Canuck and Yankee links on IPFS. So that's in the works. But if you know of an IPFS search engine that works well, let me know, post it in the chat, and I'll add it to my archive list, and I'll make that public when I have it. So that's it from this CoinDesk article. IPFS looks like Lockheed Martin and Filecoin are trying to get IPFS nodes in space and revolving around the planet Earth. So we'll see how that goes. Moving on from CoinDesk, we have Madison Cawthorn hit with U.S. health ethics investigation over crypto promotion. The probe announced Monday appears to be related to the Let's Go Brandon meme coin. Wow. Wow. Don't go after the Let's Go Brandon. I have a Let's Go Brandon ringtone. I am going to post it in the chat. I've tested it on iOS devices. Let me just search for it here. And the link may be broken. No, there it is. All right, this is the Let's Go Brandon. Let's go Brandon. Let's go Brandon. Right there. Let's go Brandon. That's it right there. You can have it on your iOS device right now if you want. The link is safe and secure. I can vouch for it. It's directly off my site. I'm going to post it in the chat. From variant-news.com. So let's go, Brandon ringtone. Get it here now, raw and for free. So there it is. It's in the chat. If you download it, let me know. Let me know when it went okay. You got it working. And, yeah. So moving on. The Let's Go Brandon meme coin. I haven't heard about this, but here's Representative Madison Cawthorn. Speaks during a press conference on November 1st of last year. An alleged pump and dump of the Let's Go Brandon meme coin by Rep. Madison Cawthorn appears to have sparked an investigation by the House of Representatives in the United States. In a press release Monday, the House Committee on Ethics announced an investigation into whether Cawthorn improperly promoted a cryptocurrency in which he may have had an undisclosed financial interest. The investigation follows a report that Cawthorn owned and promoted the Let's Go Brandon token one day before it announced a partnership with NASCAR driver Brandon Brown. Let's Go Brandon has become right-wing shorthand for fuck Joe Biden. LGBT legends, tomorrow we go to the moon. Cawthorn told his Instagram followers the night prior to that announcement, according to Washington Examiner. This guy seems like a bit of a dweeb. But whatever. He doesn't seem too bright. But anyway, we are going to move on. Again, from CoinDesk, crypto industry battles to exempt NFTs, DeFi from tax reporting rules. The OECD is trying to introduce new rules to stop crypto from being used to stash assets out of sight of the tax man. And the biggest tax man in the world is the grand old United States. The United States will follow you to the far edges of the planet, seeking its tax money it believes it's owed. The IRS will ruin your life. Crypto industry representatives push back at attempts to make them report details of non-fungible tokens, NFTs, decentralized finance, DeFi, transactions, and retail payments to tax authorities at a meeting of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development in Paris on Monday. Obviously, nothing surprising here, as taxman will cometh now that crypto is here for all to see. International tax standards setters want to extend existing bank sector rules to stop foreign Bitcoin holdings from being kept secret from revenue services, and they may end up extending them further than both the existing rules that apply to banking and the money laundering norms currently being applied to crypto by parallel standard setter, the Financial Action Task Force. Coinbase's Vice President for Tax, Lawrence Lackland, told the OECD that its plans set out in March to consultation were overly broad because they don't just look at financial assets used as a means of payment or investment. So Lackland added that the proposals would merely impose additional burdens on a relatively new and nascent industry. Now, how far do they really want to take this? I bought a bunch of Bitcoin and sold it back in the last run-up, 2017, 2018. And back then, there was no real legislation. It kind of fell into some kind of capital gains tax, and I paid around 11% on the profits. But it sounds like they wanted to just go after people that, say, move profits or whatever from some source into Bitcoin, and they want to tax that. And also, another thing to watch are IRAs and Roth IRAs. More and more, it's slowly coming. Traditional marketplaces are allowing crypto in. You know, you can start eventually one day. You open an IRA or a Roth IRA, you can put your Bitcoin in there, and it should be tax exempt because they're coming for it. They're coming for it. And these governments, because it's not fully regulated, they're going to try to, pull a scammerooey, try to create some kind of crazy tax law Like if you even hold Bitcoin, you're taxed on a percentage of how much you hold. I could see a government doing that. India, excuse me, I need what's left of the water in here. I'm all messed up. I might die on air right now. Sorry. India is started to tax crypto 30%. Very most extreme crypto tax laws on the books, but I expect those to be lessened as we move further. There's going to have to be some kind of compromise because India will shoot its industry in the foot, and also people in the crypto markets will figure out how to work around it. But moving on, let's move on to actually, I just want to see here. What should be reported? Parallel money laundering rules set by the global FATF require crypto wallet holders to carry out identity checks only if a particular crypto asset is intended for payment or as a means of investment. But tax officials worry it might be too difficult to apply that test to the diverse range of crypto assets out there. One alternative would be to only consider those crypto assets from Bitcoin to NFTs that are actively traded on an established market, said Lisa Zarlenga, partner at law firm Steptoe and Johnson. That can involve looking at whether the prices being offered and accepted are easily accessible and published and would in practice require disclosure for anything traded on a major exchange. So all of this doesn't and this is interesting about NFTs, determining whether, say, a given Bored Ape NFT, Bored Ape, ridiculous, but anyway, given a Bored Ape NFT is kept for investment or for aesthetic appeal will constitute a judgment call. So where do you draw the line? Is it an investment or is it for aesthetic appeal? But at the same time, they're being sold for such large amounts of money, it could be seen as an investment. Also, it's also very important if you hold a decent amount of crypto to start storing it on hard wallets and what have you. Having your crypto on exchanges is a risk, a very serious risk. It could be seized, it could be taxed, what have you. So moving forward, as more and more crypto legislation comes, you're better off taking a percentage of your crypto and putting it on hardware wallets. Having a primary hardware wallet and then secondary backup wallets, things along those lines, building a system out that way and keeping it secure and off the exchanges and off the prying eyes of the government and anyone else, hackers, what have you. Moving on. Korean police moved to freeze Luna Foundation Guard assets. Seoul police are seeking to ban the entity from withdrawing suspected embezzled funds. South Korean police are moving to freeze Luna Foundation Guard's money in the wake of this month's Terra USD stablecoin collapse, according to Monday report from KBS News. The Seoul Metropolitan Police have asked various crypto exchanges to ban Luna's capability of withdrawing company funds. The report said it was not clear which exchanges were asked or whether they have complied. Terraform Labs lost $30 billion this month when Terra's UST stablecoin and Luna cryptocurrency went into a death spiral, costing investors billions globally. Terraform Labs CEO Do Kwon is already under the financial crimes microscope and is facing a tax evasion investigation by South Korean police unit known as the Grim Reaper. Luna Foundation Guard did not respond to a request for comment. We'll have to see what happens to poor Do Kwon. I am going to get back to a Mark Moss video, if I can find it. We're going to do a little bit of this, and I'm going to call it a stream. thanks everybody for the support in the chat. I know I got some follows today. I appreciate that. I think my phone just died. That's not cool. So let me charge that. Just got to get this phone back online. And we got Sour D with a lemon. And we got Anywhere donate a lemon. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for hanging in to the end of the stream. I can send you some crypto if you want. Just give me your wallet address. All right. We're going to check out The Path to Personal Sovereignty. Tucker Max. This is a Mark Moss video on Odyssey. Let's figure out what this one's about.
A lot of people wanted to know, who was it that I met with that really laid out this plan that had me decide to go ahead and pull the trigger, buy this place? And it was one of my buddies, Tucker Max. And I sat down with him to go through an interview process and find out exactly what he's seen, the way he's thinking through it, and how things have changed in his own mind and why you might need to do the same. So let's go. Going back to that, the expert versus knower, I heard Dennis Prager, he talked about like, I'm okay having influence, I don't want to have control.
Totally. 100%.
Right? So control is like maybe the teacher, like, no, don't do it, do this way, do it this
definitely
way.
the modern American Western public school system is designed with like that in mind. Like that's, I mean, that's not really a debatable fact. The entire public school system is structured to take free thinking children and tell them to teach them how to obey orders, to stay in one place, that the answers come from the front, that the teacher is the expert, and their job is to memorize what they're told, right? That's great. If you're trying to create factory workers or obedient servants, that's a fantastic system. If you're trying to create happy, sovereign, creative individuals, not a good system, right? And so the word teacher in the Western world, to me, it kind of implies the old system, right? Whereas if I'm sharing my knowledge, my experiences, I'm just, like, if you notice, I've said, we were walking around your ranch and I kept saying, well, in my experience, goats are X. In my experience, sheep are Y. I'm not telling you what goats and sheep are, right? I'm telling you what my experience with them is, which is, I can know that for a fact. That's my experience. And you could have had a totally different experience, or you could be like, oh, wow, that's super interesting. I didn't see that angle. I'm going to take that experience and apply it to my experience, see if it works or not, right?
Which takes that whole those who can do, those who can't teach, and turns that upside down, because we have a bunch of professors that are teaching you things they've never been able to do.
Yes.
Right?
Or just not teaching you either nonsense or things they haven't done, or things they've heard about other people doing. Yeah, I mean, that's the hard reality. Like, it's why I love the Waldorf system. It's why the school we created in Dripping is Waldorf, because it's not teachers telling kids what to do or what to think. It's teachers helping children learn to explore themselves and find their own answers, right? That is the best teacher, is the one who is the guide and the shepherd, but not the expert or the control. The person trying to be in control, right? Which is...
Oh, all right. So I'm just noticing. Thanks, Sour. I see you posted Maria's Trovo link. It's in the chat, everybody. Definitely check out Maria on Trovo. We were hanging out with her on the Family View last Friday. So let me... I don't know why this is... There it is. I am going to get that loaded up in another browser window here, but let's get back to the Mark Moss video. Yeah, so Maria was streaming on DLive. We're trying to get her back, right? Aren't we trying to get Maria back to stream on DLive? I think that would be a good thing. She was streaming on DLive for a while, and she's moved to Trovo. So... her link is in the chat if you want to check her out. I'm going to go back to the Mark Moss video.
It's antithetical to most of the way the West works right now, unfortunately.
So then what role does the expert have?
It depends on how you're using the term expert, but to me...
You just used the word expert.
So if we're talking about like the way that the corporate media uses the term expert, what they really mean is this is a person who has the right opinion, and so I want you to adopt their opinion, right? But like, okay, so right now the main things I do are rancher and shepherd, and like the people I consider the only people I listen to are people who have done what I'm trying to do.
The 10,000 hours.
Right? Like, if I need to make a decision about my sheep or what to do or whatever, I go to people like my fence guy who's putting up fence today. This dude has put up, God, who knows, thousands of miles of fence for sheep and cows and goats. And so when I ask him a question about sheep for fence, I listen to the dude because he puts up fence for sheep, and he's done it so much he knows what works and what doesn't. Yeah. That's an expert. He's done it. Right?
You told me about the pond that I should probably find someone who digs a pond because it's not easy to dig a pond in Texas.
Right, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I've never dug a pond.
Yeah.
I don't know. Right, so I'm like, go talk to the people who've done it multiple times and have failures and successes. They learn from other people. That's why living on land and starting a business and all this sort of stuff is so cool, because it forces you to gauge your opinions against reality, right? Like, I can have opinions about sheep, but the sheep have a say, right? Whereas the way the corporate media puts it is like, well, this epidemiologist who came up with this math model that they pulled out of their ass is the expert, and we have to do what they say. Why?
And that's a big piece, have to do what they say. So like, growing up racing dirt bikes, I've broken all my bones. One time when I was building this house, I had this inspection in the morning, and I could not, it would delay my project months. It would cost me tens of thousands of dollars. I broke my leg. I'm in the hospital, and I'm like, I got to be at the job site in the morning. The doctor's like, no way. Are you kidding me? Your leg's freaking broken. Like, I'm like, what's the worst that could happen? And I had to weigh the worst that could happen with what happens if I don't go, and I had to make the decision. So I got the expert opinion, and then allowed me to make the decision. It's when the expert is now, I'm forced to take the expert's, because he doesn't know all the pros and cons that were involved in my life.
And it's not up to him to make that decision. It's your life, and if you want to take on the risk, take on the risk, right? No problem with that, totally. Even in that case, I'd hesitate to call doctor, it depends on the doctor. Most doctors are not experts on health, truly. Like,
well, not health.
No, I think there's one med school in America that even has a class on nutrition. None of them teach about sleep. None of them they teach almost nothing about emotional health. They're not experts on health.
Right.
Western American medical care is what's called allopathic care, and it is a sick care model. It is based on treating acute issues, and usually treating them directly, treating symptoms, not causes, right? Whereas, like, there are other models, chiropractics, osteopaths, nursing is its own separate model that is it's like the root cause model, right? They have a whole different approach. Most doctors are not, if I get in a car wreck, right, and I have a lot of physical trauma, like you said, your wife's an ER doctor, right?
My sister.
Sister. I'm going to listen to your sister. Like, she's probably an expert on treating physical, like, trauma to the body. I'm totally going to listen to her. She's probably treated hundreds of car wreck patients, sewed them up, whatever. That's when I'm going to listen, right? When a doctor says, here's how you get healthy, I'm probably not going to listen, because they probably don't know what the hell they're talking about.
And to your point, I told you she'd left California and joined a functional medicine clinic in Houston.
Right.
And she said, I don't know anything about that. They're having to teach me everything. So she admitted it, right? So
good for her. Good for her.
She came out of medical school like this and told our whole family, and my parents raised us pretty healthy, and so we've kind of thought about that. But she came home, nope, forget the vitamins, forget eating healthy, all you need is pharmaceuticals. And like, she came home like that, and it took her a long time to get
to unpack the bullshit.
To unpack it, So we've had a great talk so far, talking for a couple hours. We covered a lot of ground that I want to come back to. I wanted to go back and revisit the doomer optimism, which you wrote that as an article, which
December 28th.
December 28th.
It's only, that's like 3 months ago. God, it feels like a year ago.
I feel like it was the exact talk you gave me in November.
Yeah.
You probably practiced.
When we had that mastermind with Jesse.
When we had the mastermind with Jesse. So you delivered that talk, and then I feel like the doomer optimism was the same talk. So I want to revisit that, and then maybe what's changed in that in the last 3 to 4 months. And then I wanted to talk about this war on information. You wrote
I call
books.
it a mimetic war, but same shit. Yeah.
Because you've written books and you started a book writing company, or whatever you want to call that, you're in this information dissemination, whatever you want to call it. I call it a war of information. We spent a lot of time talking about Ukraine and China and the information going out and all that. So first off, I've said that I think the next war would be a war of information and money.
Yes.
I think we're in a war of information and money.
100%.
I said we got the memes and we got the Bitcoin, so we'll win. But usually it's not a war of information, it's a mimetic war. So I wanted to ask you what that part meant.
So a war of information to me we may be saying the same thing, just using different words. A war of information implies like a war over facts. Like whoever gets the right information and the right facts wins. That would be cool if that was true, right? If it was just about...
All right, it is getting late. It is getting late. It's 6:02 p.m. in the Eastern Time Zone. I've been streaming and dreaming for far too long, far too long. 3 hours, 10 minutes, and 55 seconds of streaming and dreaming. But I'd like to thank everybody for being here on this journey with me. I appreciate that. And I hope you learned something. Anyway, thanks for all the links and all that. I'll check out that Luna trades. I'm concerned about like I said, I was trying to just look into if I could even buy Luna. Not that I really want to buy it, but is it possible that many people were not able to buy Luna with the recent decimation of Luna? Like I said, Coinbase was supposed to offer it, and when I checked last week, I was unable to purchase it because I also one of people I work with on the crypto wallet, they had just told me last week that they had purchased this Luna. Actually, I'm going to circle back with her and find out exactly what exchange she bought it from. But Coinbase is the most popular, well-known exchange. You should be able to buy most currencies. And I just got logged out of Restream chat. That's not cool. Anywhere it says it was delisted and then relisted. He talks about it in the video. Okay, I'll check Coinbase again. I've been checking out Coinbase Pro, which has a lot of advanced features. Anyway, definitely check out Mark Moss if you want. There's a lot more in this video. It's an hour and 27 minutes. I'm not going to do the whole thing. But it sounds pretty interesting. This guy seems pretty interesting, doing his own thing, talking about sovereignty. All good stuff. So check it out if you want. And I'm going to end the stream. Thanks again, everybody, for your support. Anywhere Sour D. We had I can't see. I'm blind. I don't know how far back the chat's going to go here. Nomi. Nomi followed earlier. Thank you for that. And also, I got a host from Nomi. I appreciate that. Nomi. And that's it. I'm going to end the stream. Thank you once again for all your support. And I'll see everybody on the other side if all goes well. All right. Later. And stay safe. Stay cool. And be true to yourself. Later. Stay safe.